Welcome back. It is still Afrosport now in focus. Marcus Rashford, the Manchester United forward, who could be on his way to Barcelona. He has arrived in Spain for a medical ahead of a move to Barcelona. We've been told that the move is an initial loan with an option to buy. And it comes after Barcelona, where basically rebuffed in their bids for the Liverpool winger Luis Diaz. They also did have an agreement in principle with Athletic Bilbao for Nico Williams, but he has since opted not to join Barcelona after there were question marks around whether or not they'd be able to register him. That could still be an issue with the Rashford situation, but all the formalities have been put together. When they get to that bridge, they'll cross it. The forward, that's Rashford, who fell out with the Manchester United boss Ruben Amorim upon his appointment, had expressed his desire for a new challenge. He'd also spoken quite extensively about his dream of playing for the Spanish club Barcelona. In his time at Manchester United, he made his debut as an 18-year-old in February of 2016 and has since scored 138 goals in 426 seasons while at the club. Well, to discuss the impending move of the Manchester United forward Marcus Rashford, I've got Nigerian journalist Pedro Peter joining us on Afrosport now in Focus. Pedro, great to have you on the show. Hello, Pedro. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, fantastic. Even though you're wearing an Arsenal shirt in the picture we have here, you probably have your opinion about Marcus Rashford. And Teddy Sheringham was one of the most outspoken critics of the England and Manchester United winger last week when he talked about the fact that he felt he didn't deserve a move to Barcelona and he hoped that the deal didn't go through. Fortunately, the deal looks like it will go through. In terms of what the move means for Rashford, how do you see him getting along in Spain?
Well, for Marcus Rashford, I feel it's just a cheaper option for Barcelona since they couldn't get the prized one they wanted. As in, I'm referring to Nico Williams and probably one or two other alternatives in this person of Luis Diaz of Liverpool. Barcelona are currently cash strapped, so it makes a lot of sense to go for Marcus Rashford. He's tested and trusted in the elite level in the Premier League and also in the Champions League a bit. Though Rashford has not actually hit the heights in the last 2 seasons thereabouts. So I don't know what this move will be for him. It's not a case of he wants to prove something to somebody. It's just, I feel for Marcus Rashford, he wants to get as much playing time as possible. Where else, if not at Barcelona, even though that the question begs to be answered, where would he play? Because you have a very elite players on both sides. He's never going to bench Lamine Yamal, except if the little lad doesn't play at all. Then in the position where Rafinha plays, Rafinha definitely will be first choice. So Marcus Rashford will be his sort of game time will be like, okay, playing when there's an injury or probably where there are less important games to avoid the squad burnout and the likes. So for Marcus Rashford, it is a good move for him. Going to Barcelona in any capacity, it's always a good thing for a player. You look back 10, 20 years from now and say, oh, I once played for one of the finest clubs in Europe, one of the finest clubs in world football, in the person of FC Barcelona. But whether he will be able to achieve, fine, he could get team success. They win the league, or probably get lucky and win the Champions League. But personally, what will be his contribution to that team? I don't know. I struggle to see how he will contribute positively to that team. But it's good for him. He wants to get as much playing time as possible, just with an eye on the World Cup next summer, which is less than a year away. So when Thomas Tuchel names his squad, he would like to be part of that squad to go to the World Cup. It is every player's dream to go to the World Cup, not just once, twice, but as many times as possible. So Rashford will definitely have an eye on the World Cup. So at least he has a better chance of making the World Cup, unlike someone like Raheem Sterling, who is just nowhere, who is just out of the picture, whether in club football or on the national team level. So for critics of the move, I share that sentiment. I do. But let's see what Rashford is out of it. At Barcelona, you're going to work. At Barcelona, you're going to work.
In terms of how this move stacks up for him, I've heard you say he probably has a better chance of getting into the England squad. It's a pivotal season because it's the season before the FIFA World Cup in North America. If he doesn't get playing time, like you say, you struggle to see him get, how does that make him an odds-on favourite to get into Thomas Tuchel's squad?
Well, I feel he will be able to get a couple of games, probably the Cup games, Copa del Rey, and some less important games. But I feel like when it comes to the crunch ties, like the games against Barcelona in the El Clasico, or against Atletico Madrid, or even against Villarreal or Real Betis, Marcus Rashford will not be forced in on Hansi Flick's teams.
The problem I have here is you look at some of the strikers in the Premier League. There's still the Aston Villa forward, Ollie Watkins, who obviously probably will also be a starter for Aston Villa next season. There's Harry Kane at Bayern Munich. There's even Ivan Toney, who plays in Saudi Arabia but still plays regularly and still looks like he's a bit fancied by the current manager. How will a man who hardly gets any game time at Barcelona plays the less important games upstage these guys that I have mentioned?
Except if Hansi Flick's tactics changes or probably he tweaks his lineup. Let's okay.
Do you see him playing through the middle though?
As a 0.9, he's not a better player than Lewandowski.
Lewandowski is like 37 or 38 now. Remember?
Yes, I know the club are actually planning for life away from Lewandowski, because definitely after this season, probably 2 more seasons, he will definitely leave the club. So, but would Rashford be best? I don't know, because Rashford is even in his other side of 20, probably 27 thereabouts. So the same problem that they are facing, they'll still face it when it comes to the next 3 or 4 years. And we cannot actually bank on Rashford to keep on giving you the goals. In his entire career at Manchester United, he's only done double figures in 4 of those seasons. That goes to show something that he's not that elite. So I like I said, I struggle to see how he will make an impact. Fine, he could play down the middle, but going by the position he played while at Aston Villa, you needed to also have a 0.9. In this case, either John Duran before he left for Saudi Arabia or the proverbial Ollie Watkins. So he's just good enough to play probably behind the striker, or definitely from the wings. I think he functions better on the wings.
All right, we will keep our fingers crossed as far as this transfer is going. And of course, Manchester United have agreed that deal with Barcelona. It's a loan with an obligation to buy. And of course, Rashford has agreed a huge pay cut to make this move possible.